Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the income and substitution effects for a normal good. So what's going on here? We're essentially looking at a price change, and so price of a good is changing, and that has an effect on quantities. We can split up, we can go behind the scenes in some sense of that changing quantities and see what's driving it. We can think of two effects. One is a substitution effect. When the price of a good goes up, it becomes more expensive relative to everything else. Okay, so if we're just keeping utility constant, you can say, well, there's going to be one effect where we're switching away from this product because it's become relatively more expensive. So that's a substitution effect. There's also an income effect. If prices go up, it is as if I had a lower income. I have less money to spend. So intuitively, we could think if I just kept my consumption constant, I didn't change in response to these changing prices, it would be as if I had a lower income. So that's the income effect. So we're going to be looking at a particular example where we can highlight what's going on. And we should say at the outset that this is kind of tricky. It's sort of somewhat deep, as these sort of income and substitution effects are typically, it's not something that we're seeing out in the real world. These are, just conceptual tools where we're seeing what's really driving what's going on. And the relative size of the income and substitution effects will be depending on what kind of good is it, how easy is it to substitute to other products, and so forth. Okay, so as in much of the book here, we're looking at two goods, E and F, entertainment and food. Let's write up the budget constraint. So how much entertainment I can afford to purchase times my income I over the price of E minus PF over PE times F. So the more F I'm buying, the less entertainment can I afford. How much less? Well, that depends on relative price here. So let's illustrate a first situation. We're thinking of a price going up. Let's do the same as in the book. So let's do that in blue for the original situation. Okay, so we have a budget constraint here. So PF over PE is the slope of that, or minus PF over PE. There's going to be an indifference curve. This curve like so. And this individual, given the income, given the prices, given the preferences as represented by the indifference curve, this individual will choose to consume this much F. Okay. Now assume that price of food goes up, so increases to PF, well, that N as in nu. So what happens? Well, the budget constraint becomes steeper, right? If I only purchase E, I can purchase the same amount of E as I did before. But if I now want to also have some food, not just go to the theater, I need to, I'm able to buy less food. Okay, so I can afford less. So this will be my new budget constraint where we would have them. Well, let's not do that there. For reasons that will become apparent, sorry. Like this. So this is a new budget constraint here, and we can write that here. So we have, the slope will be PFN, the new relative price, or the new price of food over the price of E, and we're assuming that the price of E, entertainment, is unchanged. Okay, so we have a steeper budget constraint, and this individual will choose to consume again at the point where the budget constraint is tangent to the indifference curve. So given how we're drawing this is this area here. So this is the total effect of the increase in price on quantity demanded for this individual. So price of F goes up. This individual lowers her consumption of F from this point to this point. Okay, so that's the total effect. What did we say? Well, we said we want to split this up into two parts, the substitution effect and the income effect. So what is the substitution effect? Well, it's keeping utility constant. How much will consumption change as the consumer is facing the new relative prices? Okay, so keeping utility constant means what? Well, it means that we keep the individual on her old indifference curve, but we let her face the new relative prices. Okay, so we see if this individual were to face the new prices, but were fully compensated so as to keep her at the same utility, the same indifference curve, what would her consumption be? Well, it would be like that, not quite, because we want to have it parallel. So this, maybe I should have prepared this like a TV show, but maybe it's also useful to see it drawn live. Okay, so we're having a budget constraint like this, right, which is parallel to the new budget constraint here. So the slope of these two budget constraints are the same. And we're looking at the point where this individual is kept at her old indifference curve, but facing the new relative prices. What would be her optimal consumption? Well, it will be where the new, this thought, this hypothetical budget constraint is tangent to her old indifference curve. And the difference in quantities between these two is the substitution effect. Okay, what's a change in quantities? Keeping her utility constant, but letting her face the new relative prices. So that's the substitution effect. And the rest, in some sense, well, we can see that what happens if we're comparing this point where we do take account of the substitution effect and the end point where she will consume given these new prices. The difference between these will be, if we're looking at the budget constraint here, it is like a parallel shift in that, or it's not like a parallel shift. It is a parallel shift. What do we know when we're shifting the budget constraint in parallel? Well, it's similar to, or it's the same as if the income is shifting, right? So here, the rest here would be income effect. And this is for a normal good. So a normal good, when income increases, you purchase more, or your demand increases. If, on the other hand, income decreases, you demand less. Okay. So here, a higher price means that you substitute away from that product, and the income effect also means that at these higher prices, you demand less for that product. So the income effect is going in the same direction as the substitution effect, sort of strengthening that, and the combined effect of those is to give a total effect. So clearly here, the total effect will be the sum of these two. If it's easy to substitute, if products are close substitutes, the substitution effect is going to be large. Okay, if it's a normal good, the income effect is going to be reinforcing the substitution effect. Whereas if it's an inferior good, the income effect is going to go in the opposite direction of the substitution effect, and we'll look at that in the next video. Okay.